Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to WOR. We are here for season 19, round one. It's the Chinese Grand Prix, and I tell you what, these graphics just getting better every season. So kudos to behind the scenes. I am joined by a legend that was on a track a few seasons ago, and now he's coming into the commentary scene, and he's a legend still, and that is LCR Leopard. Leopard, welcome along to Tier 1, console Tier 1. This is going to be an incredible ride for us tonight.
Indeed it is. The opener of Console Tier 1 here for Season 19. I said it last night for Tier 4. It's incredible to see just how far this league has come since the days I began racing in it. Obviously since the days it first began, all the way back on what I believe was F1 2016, which is 8 games ago now, which is mental to think how quickly that time has flown. Of course, those are the days when you just had Xbox, PS, and PC was all separated. But yeah, no, good to be back for Console Tier 1 once again. I did a couple last season, and they certainly delivered. And I'm sure they will once again here in Shanghai.
Well, we better get to the track. I have just put the calendar up quickly for everyone to see, but we'll get back to the track quickly because the action has already started, as they are all pretty much out from the word go. The last driver on the list was Tom Roberts, who's currently in P10, but he's yet to set a lap time. There is, here's BTR Justin with his BTR teammate in the Kick Sauber, going to be the first driver to set the lap times today into the hairpin, which is at turn 14, infamous for Max Verstappen going up the inside and collecting Sebastian Vettel, I believe it was. Way back when in real F1, and it's had some fair share of controversy here in WR in the past as well. But here comes Joe Murphy to set the banker lap, which is a 29.6 to start things off with NLL Ryan with a 30.2 as times now coming in thick and fast for all the drivers. Let's go on board with Tom Roberts, who's actually invalidated. That was not a good start for him. Silo then, a newcomer to console tier 1, who has been incredibly quick on this game so far. What can he do as he crosses the line? It's a 29.7 just behind Joe Murphy.
Yeah, case in point, Silo onto the front row to begin this qualifying session. Of course, a long way to go in this qualifying session. I guess a quick reference point, as I'm quickly on board with Hazara. Let's see what the man from Tier 2 last season can do. Up towards line in the other prancing horse. Up to the line. What's it going to be? Only P17, unfortunately, for Hazara. He'll have some work to do to get further up the field in this qualifying session. Of course, qualifying, as ever, so important as he completely Tokyo drifts through turns 1 and 2. I know this game's handling model can be a bit quirky at times, but I think that's a bit on the extreme, Hazara. Less of that, please, I think. Or more, depending on what kind of action you want to see. But no, yeah, for tier 4 last night reference, it was Bella Fox who put in a 29.9 banker. And I think it ended up with Paul with a 29.8. He was rapid over a lap and just a general race pace. It was only because he sped into the pits by like 1 mile an hour and got completely yeeted with a 10-second penalty there. He ended up finishing third. But yeah, just as a little gauge, those are the times I saw at least in Tier 4. As you can expect, Tier 1 dipping further down, more into the mid-29s, and we're sure we'll see them into the low 29s, maybe even 28 potentially come the end of this session.
Well, they are in console tier 1 for a reason, and these guys do pull out the stops week in, week out here at WOR. It's interesting that it's a completely new grid. There's a lot of returning names in the likes of Joe Murphy, Flopman, Quantum, Brando, Justin, Ryder Dahl. Obviously, we can't count out Cameron Dodds and Tech Brutal there, but Cameron Dowds, sorry, not Dodds. I don't know where that was coming from, but Cameron, possibly, he's been the bridesmaid twice here now. Really, it feels like in WO console tier 1.
Yeah.
He really needs to step up now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think with any championship, it's consistency. And to be fair, when I look at, his results last season in comparison to eventual champion Furious, it did seem. Look, it was 3 points separating them. It was toss of a coin, and the last 2 races, the no-show in Mexico and the DNF in Saudi Arabia, would not have helped this cause. But he started off the season fairly okay. Of course, I mean, he only won one race, and that was in Suzuka. All in all, it looked. I mean, look, I only commentated a couple races last season in Tier 1, that being Spa and Brazil. But I would. Look at the results. It looks a little bit scrappy, dare I say? Bit, inconsistent, kind of from everyone involved, and just kind of whoever just managed to get it together. In the end, it was Furious just managed to get the results he needed. I mean, he was only on the podium 4 times all season, and 2 of them came in the opening round. If you're trying to chase the title and, you're off the podium in the final 4 rounds, you've still won it. I think it's no disrespect to the guys, but it kind of shows where there's definitely a season of inconsistency all round. So it'll be interesting to see if Cameron Downs can get and again, it doesn't have to be, race win after race win after race win. I mean, sure, everyone, every driver would love to get that kind of flow of results throughout a season. But as long as you're consistently on the podium, if last season is anything to go by, at least for a good, first half of the season, that'll put you in very, in a good place come the second half of the season to then build upon it.
Yeah, he needs to start off maybe a little bit smoother than he did last season, but we know what he's capable of and what a driver, how good of a driver he can be. A couple of other drivers that we'll go through, and you've had the pleasure of driving alongside the Tom Roberts, haven't you, in the console Tier 1 a few seasons back now. He is on a lap time. His consistency can keep him in some real big point scoring positions, and is that something that you noticed when you were racing with him?
I'm trying to no disrespect. What Tom Roberts, is he
Shizou Tom?
Oh, he's PS. Yeah. He's PS. So yeah, I'm not actually sure if I would have raced him. I think I called it a day just before, because it was halfway through 22.
I thought you were teammates at one point.
We might have been, but he's on PlayStation. So I think that answers the question. There was very little crossplay. It was only when it was just first introduced on 22, and then I decided to call it a day. So I actually don't think I would have raced with him a lot. I think most of these names are, in terms of me actually racing with them, fairly new. I mean, I watched a lot of the Tier 2 guys last season, so Tech Rule, Hazara, Spicer, Epic Vale, those drivers I'll be keeping a watchful eye on, as Joe Murphy puts it. Extends his advantage to the top of the timing screens. His first man into the 1 minute 29.5s. Brando into the 0.6s, so the times are slowly tumbling with just over 8 minutes of this qualifying session remaining. Yeah, in truth, Gareth, I don't think I ended up racing Tom Roberts in the end, so apologies for that one.
Oh, goodness me. I knew I probably made a mistake somewhere along the lines, but...
Look, it's a long time ago.
Unfortunately, I think it means that I've been doing it for a long time as well, but remembering all these names and just mixing them into one season, you never want to... Well, that would be quite an interesting one anyway. But yeah, I mean, Tech's thrown himself. He's finally got a lap in. He's up into 6th place. Flotman's still kicking around. He's going to be kicking himself for not being stronger last season, I think, because he's definitely was someone that had enough pace about him, I think is the best way to describe it, and he kind of threw it away, unfortunately. Yeah,
I think the last 4 results of the season will paint that picture very nicely indeed. Not a single point in those last 4 races. 14th at DNF and 2 12th place finishes to round it off. Not what you want when you're trying to chase the title. And again, as I said it earlier, it's, if last season's anything to go by, if anyone can get any, sort of consistency going, that will go a long way. And what that will mean is it's racing with your head sometimes, over your heart in a way. And a lot of these drives, especially today, and it's great action for us as neutrals to watch. When you kind of turn a blind eye to the championship or the bigger picture, and you just go for it. It's great to see. It's great to watch that kind of action unfold. But as a driver, especially in a season like this, if you can drive with the head, if you can drive with that almost that bigger picture in mind, and say, you know what, a third place or a second place is good, or even a fourth, fifth, or a sixth, you know what, that will do. Or, not necessarily that'll do, but I don't need to go chasing lost causes to get a better position, and it'll be things like that that could very easily decide the title. Potentially, it could turn into a season where you do need to risk more, you do need to get the big points. But if it turns out to be a season like last season, it'll be won on those third, fourth, and fifth place finishes for sure.
Let's see, Tom Roberts' third installation lap, third attempt at setting a lap in. He's yet to set a lap time, and kind of worrying from his point of view. But let's see how he handles the pressure this time around. Silo, who is new to console tier 1, he has been rapid, the FLT man, and it's a lot of. We've seen it in the past when obviously we've had Tom Manley through here. We've had Thomas Ronha, Otis Lawrence, some incredible names coming through the Xbox or console tier 1 side of things here at WOR. It's really, does that affect people's minds thinking, God, I've come in kind of out of nowhere like those drivers kind of did, especially Otis when his name was Elite. He just all of a sudden ended up in Xbox tier 1, and he was putting it up against Thomas Ronha immediately. It was like, can this man do it? And he obviously off and went, and Tom Roberts has left the session. That's not ideal at all.
It's not good qualifying, is it?
So is that something that Silo could feel? Because obviously in a team event, you've got your teams around you and everything like that. This is completely solo.
Yes, for sure. And obviously, in Monday League racing, that's kind of the rarity, if you will. It's more based off team events these days. So the landscape of league racing has changed, and of course that might affect different people's minds. Some people might not care about it one jot. But yeah, no, the landscape has definitely changed in league racing, and that will affect, or you'd think would have an effect on drivers when it comes to a solo race like this. But the importance is still the same. As far as console goes, it's still as big as it gets, isn't it? It's the one you want to win. And of course, it's that kind of extra bit of pride, if you will, when it's yourself. You've won it for yourself, or the results are your own. And of course, that's still the same in the team racing, but that's that very extra. It's the extra element of the team. But as far as Silo getting amongst it, I mean, look, we've seen it before. As you mentioned, with Ronha, Elite, or Otis, and Tom Manley. It's very possible. But of course, for his sake, I hope he's not putting that kind of pressure on himself, because that is some big names to live up to. So really, the best thing he can do is just go about his business, enjoy it almost, if you will, for this first half of the season, and just see what happens. See what kind of positions you're putting yourself in, and then if you are in a position to put that pressure on yourself, great. Then we'll see what he's made of.
See if Joe Murphy can go any quicker. He was quicker in the middle sector, and across the line,
gosh.
It's a 29.4. He is on fire. And let's see what Tech throws as a 29.6. They are coming in now. It's still 2/10 slower than Joe Murphy, but still very, very good time from Tech Brutal. Silo now down this incredibly long back straight as he run into turns number 14, 15. That hairpin here in China. The DRS wide open, clattering on the brakes. Nice and tight to the apex there. And pretty decent from Silo to start things off. But I think he's way off the timing seat here. I think he's going to miss out on a decent time.
We'll see. He's still had a couple corners to make up the time. And I think that knee-jerk steer towards the wall tells the entire story for the Ferrari. And that might be his qualifying over with. Epic Veil up into P4, so the Tier 2 challengers from last season. Tech Brutal, obviously the champion from Tier 2 last season, and Epic Veil, who ran him right to the edge in the end, as did Spicer. But yeah, two of the Tier 2 title contenders on the front two rows of the grid. How That's going to be an interesting one if it stays the same way for the race.
Yeah, I've seen how quick Tech can be for the BRT team this season on a Monday night, and he's proving that he can continue to do that. Epic Vale, a very, very good lap time as well. And LR Ryan, who had an incredible run of point scoring positions last season, when he attended a race, he scored points, and that kept him in a championship fight for a long time when he probably wasn't thinking he was going to be involved in one in console tier 1, and that's no disrespect to him, but just consistency was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and it brought him all the way to 5th in the championship, only 44 points off. And again, if make a few of those results a little bit better, then he was well amongst it, wasn't he? So it shows. I've been banging on about it all qualifying session, but I'll say it again. Consistency will be key in this championship, and Ryan showed definitely a kind of consistency. Probably need the results to be maybe a little bit better if he wanted to be challenging for the title, but as you said, I know disrespect to him, he probably wasn't even expecting it. But yeah, I'll make it my last point. It shows what consistency can do for you.
Definitely. Let's see. He's now into the hairpin. There's yellow flags for something. That could be it's Rappy's retiring. But he's nice and tight, is Ryan, into the hairpin. He's down in 16th at the moment. He won't be happy with this time. He will want to be in that top 10. Coming across the line now. This must be a better lap time. It is. It's up into 8th place. Who else is on a lap time?
Flotman. Flotman up to the line. Where can he put the Red Bull? Up into 5th. He's amongst it at least. That's all he can ask for. I'm sure he'd want to be a little bit higher. Who else have we got coming up towards the line?
There's many. Ryder Dahl, is he just ahead? I'm going to miss one of the Mercedes. That could be Cameron Dowds. We've got to see it then, because he is a contender across the line. His P11, his qualifying is gone back to where it was back in back at the beginning part of last season. He really needs to improve that. Is that BRT Justin coming close to the line? I think it is. The other Kick Sauber. It looks like he's a little bit skew whiff out of turn 14 and 15, coming through 16 now, and I don't think it is going to be that competitive. He's slightly up on his time, but not enough, I don't think. Quartz then, the last man to set a lap time into turn 16. Again, I think he's just made a few mistakes at that hairpin, and it's cost him massively. And that is qualifying over and done.
Indeed it is. And it's Joe Murphy, the man on pole position to kickstart season 19. And to be honest, looked like he had that one in the bag from the very first lap, and he has a couple tenths in his back pocket for the race tomorrow. It does seem. Obviously, we'll see how if we get a leveling of the playing field with the heavier fuel and tire wear. And of course, I think the biggest leveler of all, Slipstream and DRS, I think is going to play quite the role down that back straight, don't you think?
Oh, always. Slipstream is going to be huge, and obviously the DRS and the ERS management going down there as well. A lot of people might have some issues there. But Tom Roberts, did manage to set a lap time after a horrendous qualifying for him, but it possibly wasn't enough at the moment for him. He was a last-minute addition. Let's talk about the calendar, where we're round one, the first week of the season. We got United States. I'm guessing that is COTA. Then yes. Singapore, Las Vegas, Silverstone, Netherlands or Zandvoort, Hungary, Canada, Australia, and then ending in Sao Paulo at the end of January. It's quite a calendar, isn't it?
Indeed, it is. I think the most notable part of that is that almost tight and twisty double header before we get on our Christmas break from Netherlands to Hungary. That's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Both, tight, twisty, kind of like traditional classic circuits, if you will. Not many overtaking opportunities, but enough. So yeah, that'll be something to look out for when we get to it in December. Of course, Silverstone's always going to be a classic, especially when it comes to league racing. Vegas, I actually haven't seen much of, but I don't know what from the Vegas races you've commentated on, Gareth, but I'm sure it's chaos.
It
at
is.
Las Vegas.
And
Yeah,
it's fun
I can
chaos.
imagine. Fun chaos. That's what we like to hear. So that's something we can look forward to at the back end of November. So Singapore's going to be a race of attrition. There's lots of these kind of like tight and twisty, not many overtaking opportunities kind of circuits, if you will. You know, Singapore, Netherlands, Hungary. There's a lot of them on there, so it's it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out, and what kind of effect it'll have on the championship. I like the final three races though of Canada, Austria, Sao Paulo. I think that's going to be a chaotic end to the season.
They're weirdly very similar style tracks, aren't they? They're short, they're intense. You
Yeah.
only really get, well, Austria maybe not, but you only get a little bit of time to think because the straights, while they're there, they're not as large, and you've got to think about everything your opponents are doing all at once. And I love Sao Paulo as the final race of the season. It's it's my end of the season all the time. But yeah, Sao Paulo, hopefully it goes down to the wire as well, because that's what we like to see. Just in racing in general, not a lot just in WOR, but in real life as well. You want to see it be nice and tight. Obviously, you might only be here for one race for this season. We don't know. You might fill in a lot of times, but from the grid that you see tonight, and obviously through the season 19 placements for console tier 1, who would you have kind of like money on to be at the business end of the season?
Oof, big questions being asked. Questions are also put to chat as well whilst we're setting up the new lobby. Let's have a look. I mean, of course, there's no Furious this season, if I'm not mistaken. I'm guessing he's moved to PC.
Yeah.
Expected. So I guess, if you look at last season, you're looking at Cameron Dowds, Flotman, Brando, Joe Murphy. I think we'll be looking at as well. Obviously, Poleman here tonight. I've also it's going to be interesting, and they've said about it in the right way. I mentioned it earlier. Well, some of those that got to the business end of the season in Tier 2 will be able to do Tech Brutal and Epic Veil and Spicer. Watching those guys last season will they were very impressive. Obviously Tech Brutal in particular, just that very almost has a driver, that kind of blend that you always dream of raw pace, that kind of natural talent, to be at the front all the time and consistent as well. That was, and it showed throughout the season. 3 wins, 3 second places, another podium to boot, along with another 4th place. It was a near enough flawless season from Tech Brutal, and it goes a lot to say that it was taken right to the wire, right to the business end of it, by Spicer and Epic Veil. One thing I'll say, after watching Epic Veil last season, it's safe to say his driving style is what we'd call all action. From what I've seen, the car never looked settled when I was on board with him last season in Tier 2. It was always moving about, under braking, mid corner, sometimes even under traction. But he made it work, and it's incredible to watch when he gets the lap going. I think it took like 3 straight pole positions or something towards the back end of it. His kind of last gasp title charge. So yeah, I'll be looking at those guys from Tier 2 last season to make an impression. That's for certain. And of course, we'll be looking at those that were challenging in Tier 1 last season. So Flotman, Cameron Dowds, Joe Murphy. Those guys, I reckon, will be ones to watch.
Let us know in the chat who you think is going to be the ones to watch. I mean, Volakongan has been when he races, he's been very quick and in there. You know what, Gabor, his 1 lap pace that I've seen this season has been absolutely insane. If he can continue to transform that into the race pace as well, him and Quantum, teammates again, can really do something really special tonight. Just one last question, obviously, well, there's going to be plenty more questions, but about you and your previous racings within WOR. The seasons are a little bit shorter now, so how do you work this out, if that makes sense? Or how does it make you feel with it being a lot different now?
Yeah, it's definitely a change. That's for certain. Of course, I was racing the days when you do one full season. When the game comes out, once it's already, it'll be one full season. Oh my goodness me, that is some weather.
Ooh.
Goodness me.
You're in for a treat, everyone.
The clouds have appeared here in Shanghai. Wow. To quickly answer your question, obviously I was in the days of, when it was one full season for season 1, then we have like a 15-16 race calendar for season 2. Eventually, sometimes depending, you would get kind of like a season like this to end it. What it does as a driver, it does put more pressure on you to get out of the blocks quick. If you have a slow start, you've got very little time to make up that gap. So it's I'd say it's more intense, that's for certain. But it also will reward those that can get out of the blocks early, and it really does set the momentum. And then you kind of thinking, hold on a minute, there's only so many races left. I'm in with a chance here. So yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to kind of be successful in kind of both kind of environments, but of course not when this was kind of like the norm every season. We're getting like 3-4 seasons of this per game. So but yeah, it's definitely, obviously, being shorter, it's a lot quicker. I'll let you take the lights.
And we go. It's very quick. It's very wet. And away we go. And it looks like a really good start from Tech Brutal. He might already have dispatched Joe Murphy as they come into turn 1. I think he has. Brando's not had a good a start either. Quantum's trying to go around the outside with Epic Veil trying his best. Joe Murphy has the inside line back again. That could be good, crucial for him, because here comes Brando trying to attack Tech Brutal, but it's all, well, it is constant through this middle part of the section. They can't get the grip that they would want, or definitely that they would want, that they would usually get on the dry tyres. Defensive from Epic Veil, and he's just tagged. Goodness me, Tech Brutal has been tagged by Epic Veil, and you're right, it's all action from Epic Veil.
Goodness me, that's not the kind of all action he was hoping for. I don't think any of us were hoping for. He has just completely got it wrong under wet conditions, and he was a passenger almost. It looked like it looked like one of those moves that you kind of don't want to make, but you've broken too late, and you kind of a passenger to the scene of the accident. He holds on for P3 for the time being. Does Epic Veil? Tech Brutal's obviously down to 11th as a result of being tagged. It's all action though, further back in the midfield, as Justin is battling with Quantum as we enter the back straight for the final time in these treacherous conditions. The visibility is next to nothing for the drivers. That's also not going to help whatsoever.
The camera angle I had from turn 11, you could barely see any cars coming down. I think that's Flopman being attacked by Gabor. Can't tell for certain. Silo has even decided to go onto a set of wets. It's that interesting point where actually, what is the best tyre to be on? And there's a Mercedes being run out wide at the final corner there, but you can barely see anything from a commentary standpoint on my screen. This is horrendous conditions out there, and these guys are probably going to have wanted the dry that they had in between when obviously we have to do the World Online restart bit between the sessions here. But this is some great driving between Tech and Quantum. Considering Tech had that issue at the start, he's still giving plenty of room and justice to others around him.
Yes, for sure. I mean, it was briefly leading this Grand Prix, wasn't it? So unfortunately went in a little bit too hard, which allowed Joe Murphy to go straight back up the inside on the switchback into 2. But, there is a reason why Tech Brutal is the Tier 2 champion, and it does look like he's kind of got his head switched back on right away and is saying about trying to gain the positions he has lost as a result of that contact at turn 6.
And Quantum has damage as well, and there goes Cameron Dowds, he's not really made an impression on this race at the moment. He's still in the bottom 10 of this grid, and I mean, he probably can barely see from his standpoint right now. But Joe Murphy starting to possibly turn the screw at the front of this train. He's 9/10 of a second clear. Obviously had a little bit of help with the issue at turn number 6, but Epic Vale hasn't found a way past Brando yet. But tier 2 driver well up there. Flotman goes really wide at turn 14, which has allowed Gabor to have a little sniff, but nothing much on that occasion. But Brando, 1.2 seconds. He was up there towards the end of the season as well, but not fully able to claim any sort of championship battle. But Joe Murphy, starting the season, he wants to continue it, I believe.
Yeah, of course he is. He's the first to any sort of, first to any corner, so, you know, he's first to experience the grip levels. Those behind him will have the gauge on that, but also on the flip side, the positive for Joe Murphy is you can see he has a near enough full range of vision available to him. He's not having loads of spray kicked up into his cockpit, so that'll also be helping him quite massively. Of course, he seems to just be quite comfortable with the conditions. Nearly a second now over the McLaren of Brando. That's with the middle sector on lap number 3. Of course, early days, and there will still be plenty of time for those behind to maybe, once they've gone to grips with conditions, maybe they'll find a bit more, get a bit more comfortable, and gain a bit of confidence. Because that's what these kind of conditions are about. It's confidence. It's how much are you willing to risk and attack, and how much do you feel comfortable risking and attacking, whilst obviously keeping the car, in a reasonable condition. As Flotman nearly doesn't. That car was all over the shop on the exit there as we enter the back straight for the third time of Alston. Here comes Gabor in the slipstream of Flotman as he peels off to the outside line. You can barely see it on the run towards the hairpin. Who's going to be later on the brakes? I think that was very close between the Alpine and the Red Bull, but the Alpine has come out on top. Gabor's up to P4, and Flotman looks like he might just be struggling a bit with these conditions. That car does not look as settled as he maybe would like.
No, it definitely doesn't, unfortunately. The back end going crazy, and I think Epic Vale's going to have a go at Brando into turn 1, and the tier 2 challenger from last season is up into second place here in China in console tier 1. He is doing an incredible job past lap 1 to be involved in this, and I'm sure he's going to get a lovely trip to the stewards. But on this occasion, it was it was a very fair move past Brando, and Brando had no defence to it on that occasion. Gabor, though, is going to be a completely different beast behind. He's very quick, and he's already catching those two ahead. He wants to get up to Joe Murphy, and he knows he can battle Joe Murphy.
Yeah, Gabor, fastest man on track last time about, and yeah, he's already closing in on those two ahead of him. Yeah, he's just gonna. He'll have to be patient. Of course, moves in the wet are a lot more difficult to come by without the aid of DRS and everything like that. It kind of everything can take a bit longer in the wet conditions, and but nevertheless, Gabor is flying right now in that Alpine. Already put 7/10 on Flotman, and yeah, he's saying about the two ahead of him. One thing I'll say about Silo, the top man on wets at the moment. I would maybe hazard a guess by looking at him through turn 6. They might be overheating a little bit already, slightly. He was completely sideways through turn number 6, and he's just slowly losing touch to those ahead of him. And here comes Eoin the Haas up the inside, moves the Ferrari onto the curb. Can he get it done? No, he can't. They're going to be side by side into the final corner. Silo rather sensibly doesn't stick his nose in and concedes the position, and that'll allow Tech Brutal to maybe have a think about a move into turn 1. Oh, we're going to be 3 wide, are we, into 1? No, we're not. But we are going to be 2 wide into 1. The two Ferrari-powered cars going side by side into 1. Tech Brutal is going to now make the move up the inside of Silo into turn number 1 and 2. And Tech Brutal recovers still that position, and he's up to P9.
Cameron looks like he's trying to do it as well. He's keeping his car in the outside of Silo. I think, well, Silo's definitely, unfortunately, made the wrong choice on the wets, and he's having to just battle through at the moment. He's just maybe stick to the slipstream power, hopefully, at this one. We were talking about DRS and slipstream down the back straight, but now it's just the one. And it's risk versus reward factor. If the wet's paid off, then the guys on the wets would have been flying high. But Spicer, I think, is catching Quartz behind in the battle for P19. Spicer has thrown on a set of inters. I think he was originally on wets as well, so he realised he'd made the mistake. So that in the 2 laps, he has caught just under 3 seconds of time. So it is slightly quicker, as Quantum now being passed by Rain. Oh, actually, has he? Let's go to that battle because it would look like very side by side.
Indeed they are. Again, more Alpine versus Red Bull action as they exit onto the back straight once again. This time, it's for, well, it's not even for any points at this moment in time. Quantum used the battery to great effect, and he's now got the move done. Or has he? Here comes Rain. He's going to look back to the inside, into 12. Yes, he is. He's later on the brakes. He's got the inside. It's a tighter line up the inside for the Red Bull. He moves the Alpine onto the curb. Ryan's going to say thank you very much. There's also been in contact between him and the Red Bull of Rain, but he just about avoids any major disaster. He's having to think about it around the outside. He's moved onto the AstroTurf, but Rain just about holds it for now. But here comes Ryan once again in the slipstream. It's the Aston Martin. He's going to go to the outside line. Can he get the move done? Is there more grip on the outside? We're about to find out. There's contact once again between the pair. Oh, so close between the two of them. Still side by side. Ryan will have the inside now for turns 3 and 4. Again, who's going to get the better exit? Who's going to get the better traction? Is it going to be equal once again? Ray's moved onto the curb ever so slightly, and that is the deciding factor. Ryan takes advantage of the squabbling between Rain and Quantum, and as a result, he moves up to P12.
And Hazara has just tagged Quantum, unfortunately, and Quantum cost a big pain there, unfortunately. Just dropping down the order as Tom Roberts thrown himself up into 14th now, and further down the order goes poor old Quantum. Let's go back towards the leaders as Gabor has got past Brando.
Yeah.
However, Epic Vale is now 2 seconds behind Joe Murphy. So that is the... Well, Joe, I think, maybe going, you know what, I don't want to be involved in anything. I'm just going to get away.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good idea. As here comes Gabor in the slipstream. And I think this is going to be easy pickings for the Alpine. And he will finally have dispatched of the two ahead of him. Dispatch of Brando last time around, and he dispatches of Epic Vale this time around. And Gabor is up into P2 in the Alpine. Now we'll see what kind of pace he has in, in clean air. Actually, a little bit more visibility now. The gap is up to around 2.5 seconds to Joe Murphy out in front. So this lap is going to be a good indication of what the kind of pace Gabor has, or this one for that matter, as he's the fastest man out on track right now. Scrap that, Cameron Dowdness.
Yeah, and look at that. Well, that's P10 for Cameron as well. As is that Epic Vale make a mistake through turn 2? Well, the 1, 2, 3 complex, I should say. And it was, but thankfully it hasn't cost him massively. He just went a little bit wide through 2. But it might have set Brando up for an opportunity. Look how far Silo has dropped away from Cameron Dowdso. That's 3 seconds in just 2 laps. Wets are definitely... Maybe it started the race with Wets being the same tyre, but you can start... There's less spray being kicked up, it feels like now. You can kind of see the cars as they come through certain corners, so maybe it is more an intermediate style race. You're probably going to see pit stops around 14, maybe up to 18.
Depends on the tyre wear, really, and obviously, of course, if this rain is going to... if it's meant to be dry at any point, of course, I don't think we've had any... Or at least I haven't seen any indication of, whether it's going to be wet the entire way or if it is going to dry up, and we will see slicks. That will play a role in when we will see pit stops. Inters do tend to wear out, so we do usually see a pit stop. If it was full wets all the way, on some tracks, I remember in the past it was possible just to no stop it. Because of course you're not obliged to pit if it's wet. So there'll be different variables that will play a role and play a factor as Tech Brutal is looking for another position, and he's got it.
Yeah, up into the hairpin. Very, very good move there from the looks of things as Joe Murphy starting to, well, I say twist the knife, but the fastest laps are coming in thick and fast. Is this an indication of a drying track?
I think it is, because we were started off in, in the 44s, somewhere, well into the 44s, and now we're doing high 43s and approaching on the mid 43s, and, we're seeing fastest laps, like that, every lap someone's going purple each time. So it is an indication the track is, at the very least, unsoaking, I guess that's probably not the term for it, is it? But you know what I mean. It's definitely becoming a proper intermediate track, and you can tell that by the way the full wets are definitely falling off, and it'll probably soon be time to call it a day and admit defeat. Although it's getting to a point of Silo where he could maybe stretch it out and limit the damage in some capacity, and just jump on a set of inters to the end of the Grand Prix and not have to worry about a second pit stop at least.
I believe that's what It's Rappy has done, because they've thrown on a set of intermediates. They've come out behind Spicer, but it's fresh set, 5 lap holes. It's going to be an interesting one to see how that goes down. What have you just seen there?
Flotman just fishtailing on the exit of turn 13. Again, I think I said earlier, the car is not settled at all. Here comes Justin then, in the kick-sabber to the outside line, into the hairpin. Who's going to be brave on the brakes? Can they keep all 4 tyres unlocked? It looks like they have. Justin is looking to go all the way around the outside of the Red Bull, and I believe he's done just that with the inside for 16. Jumped on for the kick-sabber. Oh no, he's gone over the curb ever a little bit too harshly, and that's going to potentially allow Flotman to maybe put a challenge back on the kick-sabber, but he's run out of battery as the Red Bull, and I think Justin is up into P5, and indeed he is. So Justin up to P5, good move around the outside of the hairpin of 14.
Silo decides enough is enough, same with Quartz. They're going into the pits, I can only assume, for a set of intermediate tyres for the both of them, as the tyres do change for Silo to an intermediate. So let's see what happens on the Red Bull Cash App car, whatever you want to call it. That's it, inters as well. So Silo likely now possibly to think about the end of the Grand Prix, but going saying about that, it is, yeah, I remember the days. I've seen a couple of, I've done a couple of commentaries where Singapore wets to 3 safety cars and you can get it to the end with no changing of the tyres. And I've seen victories happen because of that as well.
Yeah, I've seen plenty as well.
You've probably done some, you're smart enough for that. Gabor then...
Never was, I don't think, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, you're still a legend in my eyes.
Thank you.
Gabor is slowly catching Joe Murphy, though. It was 2.4 seconds. It's now 2.
Yeah, I was just about to say the gap has, last lap, is stabilised a little bit, but now Gabor has got the hammer down a little bit. He's taken a few tenths, near enough half a second, out of Joe Murphy on this time around. So it'll be interesting to see what the times are when they cross the line to start lap 10. Tech Brutal's made another position, I believe. He's passed the Williams of Ryderdal and up to P7. Next on his hit list will be the Red Bull of Flotman, who's again just struggling a little bit. It looks like Joe Murphy 43.5, Gabor 43.4. Lost a bit of time in the last sector. I'm not sure what happened in the hairpin or the final corner, but it definitely wasn't anywhere near as hooked up as you'd have liked it to be, because we lost a couple of tenths to the leader, Joe Murphy.
Cameron Dowds is doing a good job of following Tech through the field. When Tech makes a pass, Cameron does it on the next straight, and he's just done the same thing by taking Ryderdal there for P8. I believe Flotman may very well be on a, this sounds silly, but on a dry setup, and he's hoping that dries are going to come in, because the car to be that tail happy and flopping around indicates that he's finding it difficult with the setup right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible he would have potentially gambled on a dry set. Again through turn 8, just the rear of the car stepping out, and again through turns 9 and 10. Again, he has to correct. Yeah, it's not sound at all, is that Red Bull, and you'd have to indicate it's some sort of at least dry favoured setup. Oh, hello, Cameron Downs up the inside of Tech Brutal into turn 11. That came out of absolutely nowhere from the Scotsman. Right up the inside, he's stuffed underneath the RB. But to be fair to the Tier 2 champion, he's held on valiantly, but he'll have to hold on a little bit longer, because Cameron Downs wants that P7. He doesn't want to follow him through any longer. He wants to be leading this battle, and Cameron Downs is going to look to the inside line, into the hairpin of turn 14. Can he get it done? He's got the inside. Can he move onto the curb efficiently enough? I believe he has done. And Cameron Downs, second place the past 2 seasons in WR Tier 1, is up to P7, and he's making a solid recovery. It's Mercedes.
Definitely, he's finding his feet in this race.
Brando.
As Brando
on Epic Vale.
Oh, goodness me, it's all happening all over the place. Flotman starting to find a little bit...
Hello.
Oh, it's
Sorry,
all
Justin's
over the
also
place.
Looking for a move on Epic Vale. Epic Vale's getting beaten up in the first sector. goodness me, Justin looking to be opportunistic in the end. Epic Veil just had enough grip on that outside line and will hold on to P4 for the time being. I saw also battling, going on further, but yeah, Ryderdal's got back past Tech Brutal, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's
Silo.
Silo now quick, obviously with those fresh intermediates, so he's a little bit of a quieter car. Is Eon trying to do Tech Brutal as well? Tech's got front end plate damage. He is in trouble. There's front end plate damage on that left side. That is problematic for him after such a strong start. Maybe he's just clipped someone. He's being clipped by Eon behind. But that is going to be problematic for him. Same issue for Quantum, who's down at the bottom. Unfortunately, Spicer has retired on track by the looks of things. He's not crashed out, has he? I'm not 100% sure. But that's unfortunate for him. He's just not had the race of it. Let's go up to Epic Veil and Justin, because Justin seems very racy. With it getting a little bit drier, it's looking like some of the original console tier 1 drivers from last season are getting a little bit more confident. There's Cameron Dowds up the inside of Flopman, and is that move complete, or has Flopman managed to switch back? He hasn't been able to, unfortunately for him, as I think Tech is now going to get disposed of by Eon. No, he's managing to hold the position for the time being. He's proving to be a double-decker bus.
Indeed he is, as soon as Ian is concerned, and yeah, he'll just about trying to hold on. We've seen it a few times. I think it might have been Quant. Oh, is he up the inside? Is that As? I think he is just about. He's moved Tech Brawl off the line, and now he'll have the outside line for turns 3 and 4. Just needs a good exit, you'd think, for the Haas driver, and indeed he has. He's got it, and he's up to P9. And Tech Brawl's racing. Well, he's trying to hold on. In the end, he could hold on for much longer, and he's down to P10. Is the reigning Tier 2 champion. But it is getting dry ever so slightly. I'm just going to have a look to see if anything was said about this in the Tier 1 chat, in the Tier 1 Discord, about the weather. If there wasn't, any, dry weather scheduled, if you will.
Couldn't see anything myself, but Justin trying to do anything with Flop. Oh, goodness me, that's a Red Bull in the background. Rayan definitely looking a little bit worse for wear. Both of the Red Bull drivers having a little bit of a tail-happy moments at the moment. Justin, though, looks like it's going to be easy pickings as they round turn 13 down the back straight for the 12th time. We're not halfway through this race at the moment, and unleashed surely Justin is now as he gets through Epic Veil. Epic Veil is doing valiantly, though, to keep up with these guys at the moment, but it's just they're just a little bit too quick. Gabble, for the first time in a while, under 2 seconds to Joe Murphy in the lead of this, though.
Yep. Gabor, again, it's stabilised around that 2-second mark, hasn't it? But it does look like if Gabor can, chain the laps together, chain the sectors together, he might just have a couple more tenths in his back pocket over the kick-stabber, especially as it is beginning to drop. Epic Veil's also back up the inside of Justin into turns 1 and 2. He'll have the outside line for turns 3 and 4, as is so often the case, and actually Justin's defended very well there. Goodness, he got such good traction, did the kick-stabber out there. That was an incredible exit from the kick-stabber, and he holds on from the Williams of Epic Veil, and this track is rapidly drying. I think we could see some medium tyres soon.
Yeah, definitely. The rain is nowhere near as bad as it was at the start. It was so bad you couldn't see. Now, it's looking like a typical British day in the summer. As Justin holds on to Epic Veil behind. Cameron Dowds is joining this fight. Justin and Cameron fought many a time in console tier 1, and it looks like it's going to reignite with Cameron Dowds chasing, hounding, whatever you want to say, the tier 2, one of the tier 2 runners up from last season in Epic Veil, as they come round turns 12 and 13 now. Glued to the back end of that Williams is Cameron Dowds, and it looks like it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, to the inside goes Cameron Dowds. He's using the overtake. Is the Mercedes, and I think he's going to have the job done before the braking zone. Indeed he is. Cameron Dowds is up to P5. Again, it's a solid recovery for the Mercedes. He's too soft and over the years as Ryderdal's completely sideways through turn 14. Is Ewan up the inside? I think he is. Flopman's also looking to try and keep hold of that position. Oh my goodness me! Right round the outside. That's incredible from the Williams. to go right round the outside of Flopman. Just drifted it round him. There's contact further back between Flopman and Ian up the inside. And I think, oh, Flopman's up the inside once again. There's contact. Is there a gap? He's making a gap, whether Ewan likes it or not. Up round the outside, it will now be for Flopman. There's more contact. I think Tech Rules got involved in another collision. Yeah. As Flopman to the inside, it will be once again. I wonder if there's any more damage to the RB of Tech Brule. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm almost certain I saw carbon fibre as there was a little bit of contact through turns 3 and 4. Is there any more damage? I can't see any. Is there any damage on the Red Bull? No, I don't see any. Might just be a graphical glitch.
I think it's one of those. If you hit the side pods, it does look like carbon fibre goes flying.
Yeah, no, I've seen it a lot.
It's not good for the commentary point of view to say the least. But here we go. It doesn't look like. I don't want to jinx it or anything. I don't think it's raining anymore.
You'd be correct.
And there is still that wet line, the driving line that people are going on, but there's a lot more going on to the wet part of the track. Maybe to, cool those tyres down and get it sorted that way. Cameron Dowds has passed Justin, going down into turn 14 as well. Brando has got past Gabble, so it's all happening right towards the end. And Justin doesn't want to get too quick because he doesn't want to double stack behind Joe Murphy.
No, true, that is going to be a predicament Justin will have. Because of course it's, realistically it's definitely not going to be catching and passing Joe Murphy anytime soon, so he's got to make sure there's enough of a gap so at least it doesn't get held too much in the process of this pit stop phase. But, these conditions are very tricky. The track's drying and the inters now are going to be slowly but surely, overheating a little, and it gets a bit, just mentally tricky as well, because you almost want to get onto those slick tires, but it's not quite ready, but the inters aren't quite giving the same grip as you'd like if there was a little bit of, if the track was a little bit damper and the tires wouldn't overheat within seconds. Joe Murphy is proving my point. He's struggling massively. That gap's come right down to nearly a second. And if DRS gets enabled anytime soon, well, Brando will have it if he gets those last couple tenths. Joe Murphy's struggling as his track is drying out. Yeah,
from the extreme wet, with the damage that the intermediates would have been put on, to the extreme, not wet, where the damage is also going to be put on, as Gabble trying to have a little look at Brando. Brando goes completely defensive down the back straight here. We have had a pit stop for TF10 Dirk, but he's not quicker on the mediums just yet. He is struggling by the looks of things. I say he's not quicker yet. I've got the timer to the leaderboard, and it started at 45 seconds, and now it's 52. So it's definitely not close to that switchover point just yet. But we'll have to wait and see if anyone else decides to take the jump, and it is Flopman that does it.
Yeah, in a way, with the way he's been driving the way, he's almost kind of like straight. Oh, Red Bull are going to be double stacking. That's not good news for the Red Bulls. If you're TF10 Rain, he's going to have to lose a little bit of time for this switch to the medium compound tyres. But if Dirk has anything to go by, it's maybe a lap or two too early to fit those medium compound tyres on. But I'm not surprised Flopman has made the gamble, because he did not like those wet conditions, did he?
Definitely not. And you know what? I wonder, because I've just mentioned about the tyre life being drained because of it being too wet at the beginning, and now it's a drying track. Are we going to possibly see, because I've just seen Brando's back end step out, maybe some, actually, and Matteo in the chat saying it as well, puncture territory for some of these people because of the way they were driven. Then maybe that's why Cameron didn't make some moves up at the beginning, as Dirk is now retired. It's because he was looking after those tyres to just try and have a little bit now, and we see the like of maybe Silo and Quartz, who pitted later on, become a little bit of more prominent in this race now.
Maybe going to the fullbacks was a stroke of genius. Who knows? Maybe this was the entire plan. We'll see what happens come the end of this Grand Prix, as we have a little bit of battling going on further. But oh, there is puncture! It is a puncture for Justin. Mateo called it, and literally within seconds, it has come true. The kickstarter adjusted. Joe Murphy's teammate, may I add, has completely, that rear left tyre has completely disintegrated. He's going to be into the pits come the end of this lap. I think Epic Veil's also picked up a puncture of some sort, has he? No, not quite. He's just completely sideways on pit entry. Gabor's in, Epic Veil's in. Who else is in? Ian's in, Tech Brutal is in. They're all want a set of medium compound tyres to go to the rest of the Grand Prix, because the Inters, whilst they may not be ready for slicks, they're just worn out by this point. It's no point going to another set of Inters now, is it? So they're going to have to gamble on slicks, and that is going to make their decision very easy, because Flotman has dropped it completely out of turn 13, and the safety car has been deployed.
Oh my goodness me. This is big. Silo has a chance of getting back into this race, and who else is Quartz, it's Rappy, it's reset itself, and you know what? Dirk is going to be kicking himself. He drove into the pits, retired, because he thought, yeah, my race is done. But all it takes is, because of it being so interchangeable with the wets, perfect, absolutely perfect time to stay out. Just like you were going to say, never retire, because you never know what's going to happen. We've got to have, what, 9 laps racing to the end?
Something along those lines. Yeah, 9 sounds plausible, maybe 8, depending. Of course, obviously all these drivers are going to come in, they'll have to catch the back of the safety car, and then the queue's going to have to, join. We'll have to wait for everyone to get onto the back of that safety car train. Once all that has happened, obviously, then will, the green flag be waved once again. As Joe Murphy going very slowly through turn 14. I'm guessing that's for Delta reasons. And then completely, once there's a burnout on the exit, as he fires it into pit entry, and we're going to see a whole host of cars come into the pit lane now. Because, well, why wouldn't you? If you're on the set of intermediates, why wouldn't you come into pit lane now?
Yeah, you kind of have to. Let's look at it from a Gabor point of view, as they're coming into turn 14, and I feel for Ryan, because he got held up because of Flotman in the pit lane. They both came in at the same time, and then Flotman's the one that's caused the safety car.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate for him, but it is just the way the cookie crumbles, and I think Gabor might have to be, well, fighting a little bit further down. Does he get up to Tom Roberts? This is going to be crucial. No, he's going to be behind. No, he has got past. He's back into that normal position.
Yeah, he's up to, he's lost a bit. He's behind Ryder Dahl, he's behind Cameron Dowds. But yeah, he's still very much amongst it there in P5 on the semi-medium tyres. Of course, he wouldn't have done too much running on them, and so no, crazy flat out running on them. So the tyre wear will be near enough the same. But yeah, shout out to Cameron Dowds. We're used to it by this point. But from 14th on the grid. Up to P3, and has got the race victory in sights. I'd rather get the feeling we've seen this story before.
Same old script, eh?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Joe Murphy did a very good job of pulling away and sprinting away, I should say. And that is what it's going to be now from the safety car coming in. It's a sprint race.
Yeah,
it is going to be insane. Epic Veil down to 8th. He's going to be a bit disappointed with that. Tom Roberts from 20th on the position, from qualifying on the grid to 7th. He's going to have a happy time with that one. As just looking down the order a little bit, and I'm just thinking, you know what, Quantum is going to be upset with that down there, but he's now got a full front wing, so he's going to be able to do it. Same with Tech. We'll have to see how they handle the pressure.
I think so, wouldn't you?
Pete, everyone in the chat, let us know who you think is going to take victory. Is it going to be Brando? Is it going to be Joe Murphy or Cameron Dowds? I'm going to throw that question to you as well, Leopard.
Oh gosh. Look, again with the DRS, it's completely impossible to call. The kind of that's the safety car as well. That's definitely.
That's unfortunate.
That's a strange one. One would argue unnecessary. But obviously Joe Murphy was the man to beat in qualifying, which was dry. That was on a set of soft compound tyres, perfect conditions, right, perfect as to get, soft tyres, low fuel. Obviously now there's less fuel, but we're on a set of medium tyres, so we'll see if that maybe switches it up. But Joe Murphy was clearly the man that had the pace in the dry, but he probably won't have enough to pull away, which then makes it a game of racecraft. And I don't think there's going to be much management. The mediums should be able to go, unless Mateo will correct me in chat. As he seems to get the intermediate tyres wear rate right down to a T. But yeah, from going off tier 4 yesterday, the mediums should be more than comfortable to the end of the Grand Prix. So it is a sprint, as you said. Who's going to come out on top? I'm gonna say Cameron Dowds. I'm gonna say he's gonna complete the script, fulfill the script, if you will, and he's gonna take come away from Shanghai as championship leader.
I don't know why, and yeah, maybe I'm gonna get cancelled for this. I thought you were gonna say he's gonna come away from Shanghai with COVID. I don't know why.
Oh.
Let's
Gareth.
hope that doesn't happen now.
Gareth.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, safety car is in this lap.
Let's move on to that, shall we? Moving swiftly on.
How would you, if you're Joe Murphy, how would you start this Grand Prix? Obviously, you become the de facto safety car pretty much at this point. When would you decide is the best time to absolutely bomb it?
It's a good question. I would say you're probably looking at somewhere between 14 and 15 and or between the hairpin and the final corner, because you want to give yourself that enough speed to get through the final corner. Another option would be leaving it very late and going randomly at some point. There's not much point going here because you just haven't got any momentum to kind of build that gap. So I expect he'll probably go any moment now.
See, and he has indeed, and it may have actually, if it's caught anyone out, it's caught Cameron out. It hasn't caught Brando out. Brando's wise to it, and they're heading down, and we've restarted this one. It's lap 20 of 28 here in Shanghai in WOR Console Tier 1 Season 19 Round 1, and Brando is looking to attack Joe Murphy from the get-go of this safety car restart, and he's doing a good job of it at the moment. Cameron Dowds, the man that you don't want behind you, is behind you. I don't think you'd want Joe Murphy behind you either with his pace he's shown so far tonight. But Brando is doing everything he can to try and take victory tonight.
Yeah, he definitely read Joe Murphy perfectly. He reacted perfectly to the restart of Joe Murphy. And now it's just a case of, objective number 1, stay within 1 second for this next lap or so, and make sure you've got the DRS and you're in the fight. Because if Joe Murphy breaks that 1 second, the rest of the field behind is in trouble. And that's for certain. But Brando is doing a very good job of keeping to the back of that kick Sauber. Was there any moves further back behind off that restart?
I don't think so. Tom Roberts is, though, in danger. Cut in P7. He's got Epic Veil and 1.2 seconds to in front. I think Gabor is making a move on Ryder Dahl. Oh, that was a bit quick. Got back onto the racing line and nearly collects Ryder Dahl for his trouble. Hopefully there's no damage to that Williams. He looks fine, but now it's very much a case of if he can overtake Cameron Dowds for victory of this one. Joe Murphy a little bit wide out the exit of turn 16, but everything's fine at the moment. But Gabor is the quickest man on track.
Indeed he is. Gabor set the pace on that safety car restart on lap 1 here. On the slick tyres now, it's going to be all-out attack for the drivers from now to the end of the Grand Prix. Hugh wants it more. We're driving with heart, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream. Will play a role in picking up a race victory here in Shanghai, and we'll see who's willing to risk and who's willing to maybe stand a little bit and take what they've got. We'll find out in about 7 or so laps time. It's lap 21 or 28 here in Shanghai as we get to the business end here of round 1 of WR season 19. Brando is tucked right up behind the kick Sauber of Joe Murphy, and he's probably one good exit away. A silent picks a penalty. That's not going to do his race any good whatsoever. But Brando Good exit here out of 13, and he should be looking good for maybe a move down into 14.
See how it will go. I think Gabble's just dropped 2 places as well. He's behind Hazara for somewhere, but here comes Brando to the inside with a Ferrari moving to the inside as well on someone as well. And Brando takes the lead of this Grand Prix on lap 21. But how much of that was designed by Joe Murphy? Is he waiting now? Is this going to be a game? You know, the strategic element of DRS and wanting to be in the DRS in a certain place at a certain time. As Williams losing, I think that was Epic Vale losing a little bit there, but here comes Joe Murphy again. He just nips in behind Brando for the time being. And, well, Brando is absolutely in a great position, but on lap 22 or 28, you want to be second, really, on lap 27, and I'm not sure my brain can work it out how many positions this is going to change between now and then, and especially you can't play too many of the strategic chess games when you've got Cameron Dowds behind.
No, you can't overcomplicate it. At some point, you're just going to say, I'm going to drive the car and see where it gets me, if you will. You know, if you overcomplicate it, most of the time it actually doesn't work out in your favour. But of course, you know, there will be a strategical element to this Grand Prix, especially, you know, as we're at the back end of it now and DRS is available and whatnot. As you mentioned, is Joe Murphy trying to play it a bit strategically? That's going to be it. The question is, will Joe Murphy be allowed to play it strategically? Or is he going to be forced into an absolute barnstorm, into a dogfight, into a massive scrap to claim the first, you know, the opening victory of season 19? Here comes Cameron Downs, here comes Joe Murphy. I think we're going to be 3 wide, down into turn 14. Here comes the Scotsman, he's up the inside, the pair of them. Has he got it all stopped? I believe he has. Cameron Downs leads here in Shanghai for the first time as we're about to start lap 23 and 28. Has he got any pace in the locker to try and check out and claim the first victory of the season? Or can Joe Murphy, Brando and co hold on to the back of the Mercedes? Time will tell. There's very little time to tell in the remainder of this Grand Prix. And the action has just got underway here to start the end of this Grand Prix, if you will.
Yeah, it's just continuous, isn't it? We've had so many different parts to this race, so many different, well, scenes, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah.
It's like a play, but the script could very well have already been written. Cameron Dowds is there, leading the way. Joe Murphy, for a second season in a row, is looking at heartbreak for the first round. In Australia, last season, he was caught in an incident and lost the win. This season, it's a little bit simpler, and he could lose it because of just Cameron Dowds being there, and that is going to be a little bit of a headache for him. But can we see it go 3 wide again as they come round turn 13 again? Is it going to be a little bit more epic down here? Cameron Dowds decides, no, I don't want anything to do with you lot.
Yeah, he wants no part of it on this time around, does he? Does the Scotsman, and I think he's going to be unchallenged this time around into turn 14. Indeed he is. Joe Murphy very late on the brakes, nearly goes into the back of Mercedes, just about gets the car stopped in time. And yeah, I think these four, of course, Hazara, Gabor, Ryderdahl still holding on to the back of them just a more. There is Joe Murphy up the inside into one. I don't think he actually wants to make the move. You can clearly see he doesn't want to make the move. And he has to defend from Brando as a result. So Joe Murphy is playing strategical. Gabor round the outside of Hazara. That'll turn to the inside for turns number 3 and 4. Who's going to get the traction? Who's going to get the power down best out of turns 3 and 4? It looks like it's the Ferrari of Hazara. What's happened to Gabor there? That's a shocking exit. He's going to be under threat from Ryderdahl into turn 6. Thankfully for him, Ryderdahl doesn't even attempt to move down into turn 6, but Gabor looked a bit vulnerable on exit of turns 3 and 4 there.
Yeah, just a little bit, wasn't it? It's I think maybe I don't know why. It's just not the first time in the dry conditions Gabor's made a mistake through it. Unfortunately, we've lost our 6th driver for tonight, and that is Silo. He's had enough. Maybe that 3-second penalty's just cost him, and he's not going to be towards the points tonight, unfortunately for him. And Brando still in 3rd place, still with a chance of a podium, still in a chance for the race victory. But I think he is now the one ensuring people aren't playing DRS games.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, the drivers behind Cameron Dowds and, you know, and whatnot, it's almost their decision to kind of say, right, what race are we going to make it? Are we gonna play the strategical game? Or are we gonna play the more kind of chilled out kind of game? Or are we just gonna go for it? Are we gonna make life as miserable as possible for everyone out in front and exciting for us as neutrals? It's up to them. Of course, they'll be squabbling to get into that kind of prime position of P2, P3 from those behind. So Hazara, Gabor, Ryderdal are all going to be looking to make moves themselves and get into that position. Ryderdal has got a bit of work to do, and I do get the sense he's hanging on a little bit. He's low on ERS in comparison to those around him. The car looks like it's just maybe protesting a little under traction, as it often does here around Shanghai. Obviously, a lot of the traction zones are kind of turning at the same time, so the rear end of the car, is more likely to want to step out on you. But yeah, we just have over 3 laps remaining here in Shanghai. Cameron Dowds leads the way from Joe Murphy, who seemingly is quite content in staying in P2 for the time being, but I'm sure come lap 27 or 28, probably lap 28, down this back straight, he's going to be wanting to make a move.
Yeah, the carnage is going to unfold on lap 28. I think Mateo's in the chat saying, just stick behind for the time being and just cause chaos on lap 28. But Brando, I think, needs to be in second place coming into turn number 14 on lap 27 to be able to be causing that chaos. But here we go. Is Joe Murphy going to go for it this time? Is it going to be a move, or is it a fake move? It's a fake move again from Joe Murphy, and Brando wasn't able to. But here comes Hazara around the outside of Brando. Because of this squabbling, Hazara has entered the game, and Brando could be in trouble for no fault of his own around the outside of turn number 4. Brando's going to stick it in there, but it's going to make turn 6 interesting.
Indeed it is. Hazara looking to break very late round the outside. He fires it in there. He's going to get moved onto the curb. No, he's not. Now they're going to be side by side into the middle sector. Hazara's going to stick his nose in. He wants that P3, does a Ferrari. They're side by side through the middle sector of turns 7 and 8. Brando's got the inside. Hazara's looking for the inside back though. Into turns 9 and 10. Has he got the move done? He moves Brando onto the curb. He'll move onto the curb once again. They're still side by side as now we approach sector 3. I think Brando has he got the move? Yes, he has. He just about holds on through the middle sector. Great bit of racing between the pair of them. Brando holds on to P3 as now we have just over 2 laps remaining here in Shanghai, and it's bubbling up nicely for the race victory.
What a bit of racing that was in sector 2, side by side for the majority of it. That is very good.
It's a late move from the Ferrari of Hazara. He's also up the inside of TRT Brando into turn 14. Who knows who's to play for that one, but Hazara moved a little bit late, you could argue. Gabor had the DRS open, and the car just completely disagreed with the inputs of the Alpine, and it flung him right into the wall. Into turn 14, Joe Murphy's playing games once again into turn 1. It's lap 27 of 28, it's the penultimate lap here in Shanghai. And somehow, after all that, the only position changes, Ryderdal's ahead of Gabor. How that's happened, I have no idea.
How Gabor's car is still intact I have no idea. He was in the wall. Ian is left as well. There was an incident. He was up in, I think, P9. He was up for points. He's now out of this Grand Prix at the exit, it seemed like, of 15. So I'm not sure what's happened there. Oh, goodness me. Wow. I say, what's going on? This is console tier 1 for you. And that was a mistake from Joe Murphy at the exit of turn 9. And his back end stepped out. And that is not a good time when you need to be looking. Actually, it could actually very well be a very good time when you don't want to overtake going into turn 14 on lap 27.
Yeah, but you don't want to encourage Cameron Dowds, do you? Cameron Dowds will take the first opportunity to pull the pin, and this is the time to pull the pin. Joe Murphy's going to potentially have to use a bit more battery than he'd like to make sure he's close enough to the Mercedes and Cameron Dowds, or more importantly, making sure he's the one challenging Cameron Dowds into the final lap. But I think Brando is looking to stay behind just for now and look to pick up the pieces of anything crazy between Joe Murphy and Cameron Dowds. Right then, we start the last lap here in Shanghai. It's Cameron Dowds versus Joe Murphy. Maybe Brando's going to be able to pick up the pieces if he so wishes. Right then, who's your money on?
Oh, yeah, let us know in the chat. But I think Joe Murphy's possibly played this just right.
They're playing games.
Oh, goodness me. This is going to be
They're playing
tight.
games. They're playing games through sector 1. Cameron Downs does not want to be leading. He knows the vulnerability he has. Joe Murphy not buying it. Brando up the inside into turn 6. This is exactly what Cameron Downs wants. Brando stuffs it up the inside of Joe Murphy into turn number 6. The King Sauber is off the road and Brando is up into P number 2. Hazard also looking around the outside of Joe Murphy will be the inside for turn number 8. Contact a little bit between the pair. Still side by side through the middle sector between the Sauber and the Ferrari. Hazara looking to claim a podium here in tier number 1. Gabor's going to be there to pick up the pieces if anything happens. Cameron Downs is still playing games. The goodness me, it's ever so close between the pair. There's contact further back. Somehow they're still in one piece just about. And now it's all about the run down the back straight.
Is Brando left enough? Has Cameron Downs left enough? Has Hazara or Gabor or Joe Murphy or Ryder Down left enough? There's a battle in the background. It's being led by 2 Mercedes. Defensive from Cameron Downs as they come down into turn 14. Into the lead goes Brando, Hazara, Gabor, Cameron Downs all collecting damage and hitting themselves. But it's going to be TRT Brando that crosses the line first and take victory here. For the beginning of season 19, Cameron Downs crosses in second and Gabor somehow in third after collecting the wall. Blimmin' heck, Leopard, what have we seen tonight?
I have absolutely no idea, Gareth. What have we seen? Just incredible. Those mind games at the end. Maybe we said it, didn't we? We said it. Don't overcomplicate it. Because usually it goes wrong, and it's exactly what happened. You know, and I'm sure, you know, these guys will learn. Cameron Downs will take a lot from that, just that last lap alone. But, you know, it's testament to the fact that sometimes it's just best to get on with it. Not overcomplicate, not think about it. But, hey, Brando, perfect last lap. You know, took advantage of the chaos in Sector 1, stuffed up the inside of Brando into 6. Good middle sector. Survived whatever the chaos was at turn 13. Turns 11 and 12. Got the run out 13. Breezed on by with the DRS. And next thing you know, he is our championship leader.
The stewards are going to absolutely enjoy that one.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not part of
that. Yeah, they don't get enough for that one, unfortunately. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think I'm going to get the end positions in front of me.
Right, I'll quickly go them out. TRT Brando leads the way. Cameron Downs second. Gabor, Hazara, Joe Murphy, Ryder Dahl, Tom Roberts, Justin, Epic Vale, and Quartz was your top 10. Just to quickly go through it in a very unofficial fashion, if you will. I'm sure a lot of that could change after Stewart's inquiries and whatnot. But, yeah, just what a race. What a race, Gareth. What a way to open season 19, eh?
Well, why would we have it any differently? What a way to the start, like you said, and I'm not sure how we're going to be able to dissect that one. Yeah, and the chat is really kicking off in the console tier 1 side of things.
I haven't checked that yet.
So we've had a crazy, maybe the whole this escalated quickly beer thing is going to be the one tonight. Started off the race full wet conditions. I mean, it was so bad you could see the rain on the screen behind me from the stream. That was tough.
Yeah, for sure. It was a tough opening few laps of the Grand Prix in those wet conditions, and a testament to the skill of these tier 1 drivers. And at the end of the rain as well, you know, when the tyres were just completely dead, we saw Justin, pick up a puncture. The tyres were that worn out. Incredibly tough race for the drivers all around. Lots of different variables thrown at them, lots of different mental challenges. And yeah, it's definitely not a start of the season, not not one that kind of like ease your way in kind of thing. Just straight heavy metal, right from the get go.
That was insane. And you know what? If you get a chance, have a look at Gabor's save, because that is up there with some of the. That's Heighthal Frentzen-esque in Monaco when he should have gone into the wall and he put it wheel spin, spun it around and saved the car. That was incredible. Incredible save from Flotman. And if anyone gets a chance
Oh my gosh.
have a look.
Oh my, yeah, I've just seen it again. It looked mad in real time, but just watching the replay, that is incredible.
Yeah, absolute insane save. Leopard, I don't think we're going to get anyone for interviews today. Probably for the best.
Yeah, true.
Final words from you, please, for this one.
Where to start? Yeah, no, just, you know, a massive privilege to, on a personal level, to, you know, be able to cover the action alongside you, Gareth, for the opening round of season 19. It's always an honour to get the call up to do tier 1. And yeah, just what an opening round we've been treated to here in Shanghai, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what manner of a thing unfolds in Kota next week, and just how the season is going to progress from there.
It's wow, yeah, Kota is going to be absolutely insane. Good luck for your tier as well. You may even be back in this one as well. Who knows? Great to work alongside you, Leopard. It's from Likewise. A legend on the track to a legend in the commentary box as well. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been a great stream for action, to say the least. But yeah, it's been one of those. The Chinese Grand Prix never ceases to amaze me, and that is something that hasn't done tonight either. And for now, thank you so much. All the action will, for all the streams from every tier, including World as well, and from a Tuesday night, will be advertised through Twitter and all this social media. So it'll be great to have you along and watching all of those. But thank you again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.